Hey everybody, it's Mike here at Fit in 20. I want to talk to you today about my theories on the role of exercise and the role of eating and weight loss. And it's a little bit different than what you might think. So I'm going to ask you a question right up front. What do you think? If I was to ask you to give a percentage importance to each, so how much of weight loss is diet, changing your diet, and how much of weight loss is exercise, what would you say? Would you say that it's 70% diet, 30% exercise, or 80 diet and 20 exercise, or 90 diet and 10 exercise, or what would you say? I'm going to give you my answer at the end. But I'm going to tell you first how I came up with my answer. I study people. Specifically, I study slim people. And I go on the theory that if I want to achieve something, anything, like let's say I wanted to be a world-class investor, then what I would do is I'd read everything there was that Warren Buffett ever wrote, that was ever written about him. I'd study the man and I'd try to think like he thinks and do what he does and go where he goes and get to know the people he knows. And I would try to be Warren Buffett as much as I can without, of course, losing my personality. But I would learn from the master. So, who were the masters of weight loss? Well, I believe the masters of weight loss are the people who've never had to lose weight. Because that's where we want to be. In a diet, or a lifestyle change, or a paradigm shift, we want to get to a place where we never, ever, ever have to gain our weight back. And that's the problem with most people that I work with, is they lose it, but they gain it back. Because they haven't learned the mental disciplines that they need in order to maintain their weight loss. So where do I have to be mentally, in order to maintain my weight loss? Well, I've learned from asking slim people who've never had a weight problem 2 questions. And the questions I ask are, why do you eat? And why do you exercise? To the first one, why do you eat? They usually answer very simply after thinking about it for a second and maybe looking at me like I'm a little daft. Because I'm sure they're thinking, well, everybody knows why you eat. You eat because you got to eat or you die. And that's usually what they say. You got to eat to live. You know? And contrast that with me, who's an overweight guy, even though I'm at a right weight today. But I am an overweight man still up here. 12 years ago, I was 85 pounds overweight. And I still have that thing in my head that wants to eat too much. And so I have to be disciplined around food. But I never thought about food that way. To me, food was fun, was entertainment, was a party, made me feel better. Vacations were all about food. I wouldn't go on a vacation to anywhere where I knew I wasn't going to get the food that I wanted. It was so important to me. And yet these people who are slim, it's not important to them at all. And that's important. That's an important distinction right there between them and people like me. And then the second question I ask is, why do you exercise? You know what 70% of them say? They don't. They don't exercise. And for the other 30 who do, their answer is usually all the same. It says, or they say, well, Mike, I've got to stay healthy. I mean, I want to live longer. I want to be able to keep up with the kids, etc., etc. But never do they say that they exercise in order to maintain their weight or to lose weight. And that was not me. I used to I'd go out running and jogging. Even from the time I was 9 years old, I was basically an exercise bulimic. I would exercise too much because I'd eat too much, and I'd exercise to compensate for the eating. And that's crazy-making behavior. So my answer to the question, based on the disciplines that skinny people who've never had a weight problem have taught me, if I want to be like them, I have to think like them. So I cannot treat food as anything more than fuel for the body. Now, Dr. John Berardi would disagree with me on this. He says it's so much more than fuel for the body. And I see where he's coming from, but in my case, I have to treat it like fuel and fuel only. I cannot use it for entertainment. If I do, if I use it to make myself feel better or for a festive atmosphere or whatever, it doesn't work. And the second thing is that exercise is solely for staying healthy. I ought not to use exercise ever as a method of weight loss. That's what slim people do. So why I have to do what they do. And I find that when I do that, when I'm focusing on my food as a tool for maintaining my weight and exercise as a tool for maintaining healthy bones, healthy muscle mass, healthy cardiovascular capacity, then I don't have to worry about my weight. I never have to get on a scale. And I find that that's what works for my clients too. So my answer to the question, what percentage of it is weight loss diet and what percentage is exercise? It's 0% exercise and 100% diet. But the studies out there show that unless we're exercising on a regular basis, the chances are we won't maintain our weight loss. So exercise 2 or more times a week, but please don't use it as a method of weight loss. Use it to stay healthy. Watch what you eat, and eat on a controlled plan with disciplines around it, like weighing and measuring your food and eating a certain number of times a day. And have cheat meals. Go ahead, have them, but have them on a schedule. Okay? Don't have them willy-nilly just whenever you want to. That was our problem before when we were overweight. Okay? So 100% food, 0% exercise. But the exercise is a very important component of it all. Thanks for listening, folks. I hope this was helpful. Post your comments, ask your questions, and we'll see you soon.